I'd like to call the Thursday, November 17th meeting of the Boone County Board to order at 6:30 p.m. We'll start by rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. Then you can remain or sit back down as we'll have a couple of presenters talking about some stuff and then have our invocation. So.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This past week, or last week, I should say, last Friday, we celebrated Veterans Day. And at this county board meeting here, just past Veterans Day, I felt it appropriate that we would help continue that celebration and talk about veterans. And to that end, anybody who is in the county government should have received an email from me, or at least their supervisors would have received an email from me. I'm calling it a chairman's challenge that I asked to try and raise money for two organizations. One is the Dark Horse Lodge, and the other is for the Oscar Mike Foundation. I've asked a friend of mine, Jerry Olson, who I've known for probably 15 years, I guess, maybe a little longer. And Jerry's a former Marine and is involved heavily in the Dark Horse Lodge. I've asked him to come and offer our invocation and then also talk to us about the Dark Horse Lodge and what I'm trying to raise a little money for. And in that challenge for both the Dark Horse Lodge and the Oscar Mike Foundation, I've offered 50 cents on the dollar up to $2,000 of my own money. That if we can raise money, I'll put up to $2,000 into that at 50 cents on the dollar. So I'm hoping we can do that. I was hoping to be able to end that tonight and give them checks tonight, but I still want us to raise some more money here in Boone County. So I'm going to extend that challenge out a little bit, and we'll see what we can do to raise money. I'm sure I can find Jerry, and I know I can find Mr. Curry. So we'll have Mr. Jerry Olson, if you want to come offer an invocation and then talk to us about Dark Horse Lodge, we'd love to hear from you, sir. Ray, do you want to hand him that yellow mic? That might work a little better for him.
Oh, need a mic.
Well, we've got to record it, boss. Yeah.
We better not use a mic. All right. So, good evening. First of all, I'm no chaplain, so we're just gonna. This is a simple prayer that I found that I think can resonate with most of us that have military in our families or in our circle of life. It's called the Soldier's Prayer. You bow your head. Dear God, I'm just a soldier, a protector of our home, a servant called to battle when my country takes a stand. I pray for strength and courage and a heart that will forgive, for peace and understanding, and a world for all to live. My loved ones' prayers are with me, no matter where I roam. Please listen to me when I'm alone and return me safely home. Amen. So, as Carl said, we've known each other for a long time. Long enough for me to lose hair thinking about how long we've been friends. So that's pretty cool. Just a quick show of hands. Are there any veterans here in the room besides myself? Thank you for your service. So, Dark Horse Lodge, what it is we had a young man in 2010 from Byron lose his life in combat. His family has since taken a tragedy to triumph. They've lost 25 guys in a 6-month period. So if you figure 25 people in this room in 6 months won't be here, that's a significant number to any organization. So what they decided as the mom was going through these grieving processes, she'd seen a lot of these young men she'd known from combat, or prior to them going to combat, how chipper they were and all these things. And when she saw these memorial services, if you will, she saw how a lot of things changed for them. A lot of colorful stories, some funny, some a little bit more deep, but she thought they were healing themselves by airing out a lot of their issues amongst each other. And what could she do to help create a safe place for that, for all combat veterans? And thus came Dark Horse Lodge. The name comes from Alec Catherwood's he's a young Marine that lost his life in combat. He has to be a lot for veterans, and they think I'm crazy enough to keep this thing going. That's just a little bit of a joke. So what have I done as a board member? I've created an event called Trek for Troops. I've spoken, maybe you've seen me on the news, I don't know, but I've been all over that thing for years. I get asked to do things like this because no one else wants to talk. They don't want to go in front of people. Whatever it is, I will do whatever it takes to help keep this going. We have 5 cabins, 5 rooms each one of those rooms named after one of those, in honor of one of those Marines. We have a main dining hall that is actually named in honor of a young man that came home and just lost his life to the demons inside, and was one of the 22 that we hear about every day. His family is actually on our board as well. But the goal is to get those combat veterans, 25 at a time during the week. They find their way to us, and we let them heal a little bit throughout the week amongst themselves. But we're right down there by the Kentucky Lakes. We're going to take them fishing throughout the week. There's going to be some hiking, just good camaraderie amongst them, and send them on their way to hopefully heal some of that stuff. How many, just by a quick show of hands, whoever was like in a day camp or something when growing up? Anybody do day camps, right? We all know how fun that was. Doesn't matter what your day camp was for. I do them. I still volunteer for them. Doesn't matter what your camp was for. Maybe it's just to have fun. Maybe it's because there are things going on that you could relate to that other person, that other camper, right? This is the same type of environment we're creating, except for adults that have been through combat. Just the easiest way to put it out there. So I've created this event called Trek for Troops. We just did here this past Veterans Day weekend, where you and a team navigate 100 miles on foot in hopes to show the hardship that we bestow upon our military when they get sent to far off lands, while we're here enjoying nights like this and they're enjoying probably not good nights like this, right? But we get that freedom because of them raising their right hand. So it's just to show that hardship a little bit and to have a little bit of fun out there thinking about our military members and the things that they're doing every day so we can do our everyday things. And then in the midst of that, Carl heard about all the crazy things I've done for Trek for Troops, which I won't get into too lengthy, but it's been a lot. If you want to ask me later on, I'll tell you. It's just a lot. I'll just leave it at that. So if you ever walk 100 miles or you ever want to, come see me. I can show you how to do it. If you want to go more than that, come see me. I can show you how to do it. Over the last 8 years I've been doing it, I've logged in over 1,100 miles and Veterans Day weekend officially. So come on out. So for 32 days, I can show you how to make your feet really tired and appreciate our military a lot more. That's just down and dirty about Dark Horse Lodge, really fast and simple. I know there's another great organization here that's also going to be talking tonight, so I don't want to take up too much of that time either. So.
Does anybody have any questions for Jerry and Dark Horse Lodge?
You can look us up online at darkhorselodge.org. I have a bunch of flyers with me as well. I appreciate your time.
Jerry, thank you very much. Appreciate all you do for. Next up, Mr. Curry.
Want me to stand there?
Yeah, absolutely. Go right up there.
Good evening, everybody. Here, because Carl asked me to speak a little bit on Oscar Mike, which is a local veteran organization that many people don't know about. They've got a retail store in Marengo, but they operate their clinics out of Candlewick Lake. They bought the old Pepsi or the fountain pen or fountain guy mansion thing, what I'm talking about. So we run clinics out of there, and it's basically to get disabled veterans on the move. Oscar Mike was nomenclature when we would move forward in combat. It's our phonetic alphabet, and when we'd go and leave the wire, we would say we're Oscar Mike. And a lot of these veterans who have succumbed to injuries or mentally anguished from those injuries, we teach them basically how to live life independently again. We do a clinic we try to do 2 clinics a month. We jump up quadriplegics, amputees, brain injuries. We jump out of planes every week. We shoot guns every week. Come on in, you're good. And we do all the fun things that they did prior. We teach them how to fly planes. But they learn how to gain an independence with a life that they thought that they were kind of left without when their injuries occurred. Noah is a local guy, went to North Boone High School. and graduated in 1998, survived the first Fallujah push. He was part of LAR, came back and celebrated, and a buddy wanted to borrow his truck. And when they borrowed the truck, he said he was going to ride with him. The guy fell asleep. They got in a car accident. He broke his neck and is a paraplegic or quadriplegic. They also, with that, he was mentally suffering, obviously, from being in the top shape of his life to now depending on his parents to do everything. And somebody kind of picked him up and took him downhill skiing, which he thought was crazy. He found a lot of other people that were kind of going through the same struggles he was and how much they were enjoying life. And they did some peer-to-peer stuff, and it changed his life for the better. And now he's doing great things. So he's got a peculiar business because he runs a retail shop out of Marengo, which pays for all the overhead. So everything donated goes towards the 501. So when you donate, a lot of times it's tough for some of these places to keep the lights on, and a lot of those donations go to overhead. He's found a way to not do that. So he sells a lot of T-shirts. He's partnered with Google. He's partnered with a lot of big companies out there. And it's just a great organization. I got wounded in 2009 and wasn't the best version of myself after I got out of the hospital. And I started kind of getting involved with some of these guys, and the peer-to-peer stuff alone will lift you up and just kind of make you feel important again, or at least that you can be a valuable to society. And so it's a great organization, OscarMike.org. Check them out. Like I said, they're local. They actually just purchased land out adjacent to the airport on 76 and 4th. And that is where they plan to put the new compound, which will have 2 dorm-style facilities with a gym. They do rugby nationals. They're the only all veteran rugby team. They compete nationally every year. They brought it to Rockford to the UW Center. They'll have a gym out there. They'll have a place where all these wounded veterans can come and rehabilitate and find new purpose. So it's a good thing. Thank you.
Any questions for Ryan? Anybody have any questions for Ryan at all? Cool. Ryan, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And once again, I just want to reiterate, I can't stress enough, I'm hoping this county makes me pay up $2,000. So, I mean, it's 2 great organizations. If we can raise that kind of money, we'll get $3,000 to each of them, and it'd be awesome. I've never wanted to spend $2,000 more in my life, so make me do it, please. I appreciate it. Let's, I'll shoot an email out, but I'm thinking we'll probably at least run this up until the middle of December or something like that, so that maybe I can get this to them before Christmas. So perfect. Next up, roll call, please.
Carl Johnson.
Here.
Sherry Bartelt. Here. Ryan Curry.
Here.
Freddie De La Trinidad.
Here.
Ray Larson.
Here.
Brett Bueller.
Here.
Lisa Patterson. Here. Rod Riley.
Here.
Bill Robertson.
Here.
Tom Walberg.
Here.
David Wiltie.
Here. Next, I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Moved. Motion by Mr. Larson, seconded by Mr. Mueller. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'd ask for approval of the October 20th county board minutes and November 1st special county board minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Larson, seconded by Mr. Mueller. Any discussion? Mr.
Just want to indicate I'm going to vote present. I keep not getting it on my devices in time to look at it. I look in the afternoon and it's not. I'll just straighten it out. Otherwise, I'll just vote present. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One. Is there any public comment? I don't have any forms up here, but do we have any public comment? Thing in email, Dan? Perfect. Thank you. Appointments and recognition. We don't have any appointments, but we do have recognition tonight. This is the final time that this board will meet together as a whole. And to that end, we'll be saying goodbye to 4 members that have worked hard for this community. They've dedicated time and a lot of time sometimes at some of these meetings. But it doesn't seem like it a lot. But you get your package, you have to go through it, you have to investigate stuff, and there's a lot of time and that goes into being a board member and doing it right. And I think all 4 of these board members that are leaving us. So Ms. Kieske has already left us, but they all worked hard, and I appreciate all their efforts. Whether we agreed or disagreed is irrelevant, because I'm a firm believer that we have to have differing views on this board. It's very important that we can't all think the same way. If we do, then somebody's doing something wrong. We need those differing views and those differing opinions. And in here, we work and we debate and we talk about those things. And when we walk out those doors, we're all members of this community. We all have family. We all have friends. We all want the best for this community in some way. And sometimes we just have a difference on how that is, and that's okay. It doesn't make us a bad person. It just means that we have a difference of opinion. And I think it's important that we remember that as a body. To that end, I would like to present and recognize these 4 board members for their service. And each one is going to get a plaque that looks like this. And I'll read to you what it says. This one says, presented to Bill Robertson in appreciation for your service, Boone County Board, 2020 through 2022. And this will go to Mr. Bill Robertson, to Mr. Freddie De La Trinidad, to Ms. Sherry Gieske, and to Ms. Sherry Bartel. Thank you so much for your service, and we'll miss you. Thank you. There you are, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I will get Ms. Kieskes to her at my next opportunity. Next up, we have reports from agencies. Council on Aging.
First time. The only thing that I have to report is just a heads up to everyone that they will be having their biggest fundraiser will be next spring. The end of May will be a golf outing, so I'll provide more if that becomes available.
So much. Growth Dimensions, Pam.
Down a little bit. Good evening. I'm Pamela Lopez, FEDIS Executive Director to Growth Dimensions. And first I want to start off by saying thank you all for your service over the past year. Really appreciate all your support and all your hard work and your decisions that help move economic development. I wanted to share with you some of the work that we have done this year. I know we just did a presentation a couple months ago, but I wanted to highlight some of the work that has been done this year, some of the projects. To start with General Mills. As a reminder, this was considered Project Kelly. This is a 1.3 million square foot expandable to 1.7 million square foot facility distribution center that will be the distribution center for the Midwest. This is on 111 acres. It is going to bring 55, 75 full-time permanent jobs. However, it is going to be very high tech, which will also lead to some additional jobs in order to support that. It's also going to bring 500 or more construction jobs and talk about the traffic that it will generate for people coming into the county for services. The next one I wanted to highlight was Speed Track, the fuel center. The fuel center itself will be a 12,000 square foot facility. It will house 4 restaurants, and that includes 2 that will be drive-throughs. This is approximately going to be an $8 million investment, and this will also include 7 lots. That includes the possible hotel, extension of Crystal Parkway, utility and infrastructure, stormwater management. Just like the project with Project Kelly and General Mills, it really expands that infrastructure. And these are both projects regarding infrastructure and roads that have been in the plans for the county for several years. So we were glad that these these projects will bring those things to fruition. The next one I wanted to highlight is Conserve FS. This is located north in Boone County off of Route 76 in Caledonia. And this is, there are going to be 2 buildings to house storage. One will be more dry fertilizer, the other one liquid fertilizer. This will be about a $15 million investment for 2 facilities totaling about 45,000 plus square feet of space. This has just been a great investment and shows the diversity we have in our county and how we try to bring that diversity to our county. We've been working with automotive and trying to keep the automotive sector here. I think we're gaining a lot of attention with the state, with the support of our regional and local elected officials in order to, and we've got the governor's attention to keep and grow Stellantis here. So we're working on that. And while we're working on that, we're trying to diversify our economy. Ag is important to our community, also distribution, transportation, food processing. Some of the other projects that I wanted to highlight, DFA has invested in their facility and expansion of a new line that will bring over 50 jobs. And it'll also help, it's also $1 million in investment, let me see. Notes here. It's about 55 new jobs and about 15 million in investment for DFA. General Mills has also had a new line expansion and they have a new sugar silo. Again, additional investment. When we're talking about all these plans, we're talking about investment, capital investment of just, I would say when I put 225 million, I think I'm underestimating it. Quite honestly, I think it's much more than that before the year end. And these projects will probably be more closer to 300 million by year end. Every project that we have, regardless of where it's located, is a benefit to Boone County. It's a benefit to us all. We see it in our property taxes, we see it in our sales taxes, we see it in our revenues that are generated. We hope that, and I have to say that we want to continue to provide this economic growth and with your financial support. And with me today is our president, Bob Opperman, and he's going to share more information about our financials.
Thanks, Pam. First of all, I want to thank you for the support you've given for economic development over the years. We might all arm wrestle a little bit over what's the right amount, but every dollar you give us is greatly appreciated. Thank you for that. I'm also a taxpayer in this county, so I appreciate you being careful with the county's money, being watching out for us taxpayers as well. I can assure you that every dollar you invest with Growth Dimensions is very carefully spent, and we argue over every penny we spent there as well. So thank you for that as much. I just want to talk a little bit about the numbers. I'm a banker, so I kind of get stuck in the money. So this bankers is all about the money, On the budget numbers we've got up there, that first column is our 2021 actual results. You see we had a little bit of a negative balance there at the end of last year for about 24,000. I want to give you a number before that. In 2020, we had about an $82,000 negative cash flow number for 2021. And if you look at the budget for 2022, we're probably going to come in somewhere near break even. We've projected a little bit of a loss in 2022 as well. I just want to point that out is because we've been very careful to build reserves over the years. We've had some years where we didn't have much, we had staff shortages, so we were able to accumulate some cash, and we've been very careful to accumulate that cash and keep it available. So at least in the last 3 years, we've been able to continue to operate even though we have had some negative cash flow numbers. So the reserve money has been very important to us, and we're happy to be able to continue to operate without coming here on our hands and knees asking for more money because we've run out. So I think it's very important to be careful in our financial management. And so if you look at and even to the 2023 budget, we've budgeted approximately a break-even number, and we were a bit optimistic. We went ahead and plugged in 30,000 from the county to our budget already. So we appreciate if you consider that, and be happy to answer any question you might have about the numbers or the financials at this point.
Questions for Growth Dimensions at this point?
Thank you for your support. Appreciate it very much.
Might I add a few more statements? Okay. I wanted to help everyone understand. Every year, our budget is zero. We start at zero, so we don't have any revenues that we are guaranteed every year. So from zero, we have to work it up every year. So we have to do a campaign every year. And that starts in about October, November. To date, we have about 57,000 secured for next year. So if we were to be at 57,000, that means that 100% of our reserves would be pulled to operate this in 2023. I wanted to understand that, I know 30,000 is a lot. I know 15,000 increase is a lot, but we have consistently seen a decline in resources from the county over the past 13 years, 31,000 to be exact. We're trying to invest in time and resources that focus on driving economic opportunities to bring business here, to get in front of businesses, and additional resources will help us do that. We've had to cut back on some of our activity because we've had less resources over the past few years. There's a lot we can do, a lot of resources we can, and opportunities we can spend time with. As you know that, we're a relationship type of business. So in order to gain that relationship, we really need to get in front of the businesses. We need to talk to them. We need to convince them. They need to see our passion. It's not just providing that marketing information. It's not just providing them data. We need to tell them and share with them what this community has to offer. And we have a lot to offer. There's a lot. And the only way that we can really seal the deal is to get in front of them. We can talk to them, we can negotiate. We would like more of those opportunities. We'd like more opportunities to invest in geofencing. Geofencing has shown a great return on investment. Basically, and just to explain, geofencing means that we, for conferences we're not able to go to, we send information, electronic information to people's phones that are attending that conference. And they are drawn back to our website. We put information on there, they go to our website, and we follow them. We would like to invest in more resources in order to follow that person. Who is that person? Where did they come from? We'd like to get more details about that. Again, those take dollars, those take time, those take money. The resources you provide us would help us focus on, like I said, gaining those relationships, bringing those projects in, taking time out to look for additional funds to support our efforts, take time away from that. Take time away from meeting with businesses, recruiting businesses. And I can't tell you how important every dollar that you contribute is important to us, and how much we value your investment.
Questions for Growth Dimensions? Ma'am, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, CASA.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing too crazy going on with CASA. Of course, we can always use more advocates. It's important. We have a lot of kiddos in the program. Hometown Christmas is coming up. We're decorating a tree on November 30th at 1 p.m. The parade is December 2nd, for anybody that isn't aware. We're also gearing up for our Icon show in February. I think it's February 26th. The Giving Tree will be at Planet Fitness from November 28th to January 3rd for items for the baby bank. If you need anything, go to their website. Charlotte will happily help you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. R1, we had a meeting today. Most of it was a presentation from a gentleman who is, he heads a division that's what do they call it? Like a consumer automotive resource center type thing. And he's heavily involved in the automotive industry, what's happening there, where it's going, what it's doing, things like that. So the purpose was to kind of try and garner a little bit of insight into what direction that's going, and what kind of resources do we need, and how can we work to help make Stellantis a little more attractive to automotive people and Stellantis in general. It's a long road. I mean, electric vehicles are obviously really taking hold and starting to push into the market. I think like 60%, a 60% increase in the last year of strictly electric vehicles, where it's just all battery power and not a hybrid or anything like that. So a 60% increase. But there's a lot going on with R1, a lot working with the Stellantis facility. And as Pam mentioned with Growth Dimensions, we do as a region have the ear of the governor. Our state and our local reps are heavily involved, and DCEO and various other state agencies to help try and find a way to expand and keep this facility and make it even better than it was before. To that, I mean, I've been on multiple meetings in the last month on that. I've got one tomorrow, in fact. So we'll see. Hopefully things are going well. We're not going to know until we know. I mean, it's really kind of weird, and a lot of this stuff happens. It's a phone call, and we have to make decisions right now. What about this? We don't know. There's so many other players. Care, you have to make a decision. Great. I like pepperoni. So we'll keep you informed as much as we can, but we don't know anything, to be honest. I mean, and that's, the state keeps us in the dark, and they're really taking the lead on a lot of this, and just kind of feeding us bits and pieces. So hopefully we'll know some good news within 3 or 4 months. It's my hope, right?
I was reading that when it started, how many different players were in the relocation? Canada, I believe, a couple other, correct? If that was. Yeah,
there's this gentleman went through all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of southern states that are picking up things, and where the real focus has been right now is on battery plants. They can retool and get things to build an electric car, but they can't make batteries fast enough. So a lot of it has been focused on finding places that they can build a battery plant. To date, so far, they've invested a lot of money in Canada and southern states. I think that's at least what this gentleman said today. It seems like that tide might be turning a little bit, and they might be looking at elsewhere also. And that's one of the focuses that the state is helping, is trying to say, hey, you've got to, not only do you have a plant right here, but there's a lot of around here, we could throw a battery facility up. But there's a lot of other things that go into it, simple things, well, not simple, but, getting water and sewer to it. Because any place that we would need to put a facility has got to have water, sewer, and we don't have that. It's simple to say, well, Belvedere's got a plant, just run a pipe. Well, where it's at, Belvedere would have to build a new plant in order to take that kind of stuff. And there you're talking $50 million. So then you're looking at trying to put it to other agencies, and how can that all work? And there's a lot of, I can tell you that through R1 and the North COG, which is the North Council of Governments, there is a lot of people working and pushing hard, and R1 is really, I feel, working hard to pull on the same end of the rope and pull in the same direction. And everyone has been extremely supportive that the best place for that plant is right here in Belvedere and Boone County, and the best place for a battery plant would be right here in Belvedere and Boone County. So that's been the emphasis. We can get it done, but it's hard to say. There's so many dollars being thrown around by so many communities. It's staggering. Hundreds of millions of dollars. So how do we compete with that? We're trying to pull federal and state agencies into it to help us do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions on any of that?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Just after hearing your report and reading the R1 priorities list that was on the last agenda, it's all very physical infrastructure. Was there any conversation about money for rural broadband?
For R1?
Yeah, there was a priorities list that you guys had on the agenda last, the finance committee meeting, and it was all projects were all very physical.
A lot of infrastructure projects for economic growth.
Broadband in our community would be a big win, so say around the country.
I know that's been discussed, and I don't remember if that made the list. At this point, I don't remember, to be honest. I don't know, Justin, can you?
There was a fiber ring that was on the list, so there is a portion of it that is represented.
That's what I thought. I kind of thought that was the case, but some of those, a lot of times those projects too get to be, we want to put bigger projects on there on that priority list because it's pushing for federal dollars and bigger dollars. So the bigger the project, the more somebody goes, wow, that's really cool. And the fiber rings aren't necessarily as pricey, even though they're expensive. It's $250 million or something like that. So that's why it doesn't always go to the top. Some of those. Anything else? Okay, super. Next up, I think we have fund transfers, don't we? Do I remember that right? Yes, we have. I'd ask for a motion to approve the general consent agenda. Motion by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Larson. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, I'd ask for a motion to approve resolution 22. Yes, sir.
Just point of order. Do we need a roll call on the fund transfers, even though it's on consent?
Oh, that's why it's on the consent. We've always.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Next, I'd ask for a motion to approve resolution 22-82, requesting consent to the reappointment of incumbent Justin Crone as county engineer.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wiltie, seconded by Mr. Larson. Any discussion on that? I don't know if you all had a chance to look at it, but I did receive a letter from Mr. Dan. Well, it was an email from Mr. Dan Kane, and the letter was from the head of the Conservation District Board, thanking and pointing out their sincere gratitude for all the assistance that Mr. Crone has offered to them in their projects and things. If you haven't had a chance to look at that, please do. It does. It's always nice to hear good things about employees. All too often we get the phone call that I can't believe they plowed my driveway in or something. So it's nice to have good news. So Justin, thank you for all your hard work. All right. Any other discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Sherry Bartelt? Yes. Brian Curry?
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad?
Yes.
Ray Larson?
Aye.
Brett Mueller?
Yes.
Elisa Anderson? Yes. Rodney Riley?
Yes.
Bill Robertson?
Yes.
Tom Walberg?
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey?
Aye.
Carl Johnson?
Yes. The motion carries. Congratulations, Justin. Thank you. And thank you for all your hard work you do. Next up, Mr. Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 10.1, I move to approve purchase of cloud permit zoning and compliance module.
Motion by Mr. Curry, second by Mr. Mueller. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Brian Curry?
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad?
Yes.
Ray Larson?
Aye.
Brett Mueller?
Yes.
Lisa Patterson?
Yes.
Rodney Riley?
Yes.
Bill Robertson?
Yes.
Tom Walberg?
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey?
Aye.
Carl Johnson?
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt? Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Curry.
Item 10.2, I move to approve purchase of Duress Alarm System Logan Avenue Administration Campus in an amount not to exceed $8,917.50.
Motion by Mr. Curry, second by Mr. Mueller. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Freddie De La Trinidad?
Yes.
Ray Larson?
Aye.
Brett Mueller?
Yes.
Elisa Patterson?
Yes.
Rodney Riley?
Yes.
Bill Robertson?
Yes.
Tom Walberg?
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey?
Aye.
Carl Johnson?
Aye.
Sherry Bartelt? Yes. Brian Curry?
Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Curry.
10.3, I move to approve the proposed 2023 holiday schedule as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Curry, seconded by Mr. Wiltsey. Any discussion? Mr. Mueller.
On the Christmas Observe, they have a Monday. Never mind, I refrain.
that's 23. I was looking at 22's calendar.
Any other discussion? All in favor, Mr. De La Trinidad?
I remember the last meeting we talked about adding a holiday. I know that was a discussion. Is that something that the board still wants to do, or?
Juneteenth.
If somebody wants to make a motion to amend it, Mr. De La Trinidad?
I'll make a motion to add Juneteenth. I think the staff would probably appreciate another day off. I'm looking at for the staff, so. So yeah, I would like to make a motion to add Juneteenth to the holiday schedule.
A motion by Mr. De La Trinidad. Is there a second? Mr. Riley? Discussion? Mr. Wiltsey?
As I said last time we discussed this, I'm opposed to adding more holidays to the calendar. And I think it has an economic impact upon the county. That'll be the reason I'll be voting no.
Further discussion? I would concur with Mr. Wiltsey. I think there's a lot of holidays here already that general public doesn't get. So I think there's plenty here. So I'm going to vote no also. Ms. Bartelt, did you have your hand up? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear a word that Mr. Wiltsey said, so I don't know what we're talking about.
You want me to repeat it? I apologize. As I said last time when we talked about this, I'm opposed to adding another holiday to the calendar. It has a fiscal impact, and I just don't think that's the way to go.
Any, Mr. Riley?
Just out of curiosity, what's the courthouse going to do? There's not going to be any court that day. Clerks? Tricia, your office?
Well, I can tell you what happened in the past is that the court is not operating, but the courthouse is open. I think it would be dependent on the new sheriff, but that will be the same thing in 2023. The clerk's office and probation are offices of the court, so they will have the day off.
I don't know about anybody else, but that's great that they have the day off, but I think it's kind of a disservice to the rest of the county employees. My thought anyway.
Ms. Bartelt?
I was wondering, Julie, isn't your office closed on that day also? It's not?
No, my office follows the county approved.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those, no, go ahead, Mr. Riley. Sorry, Mr. Curry.
You call me whatever.
Oh.
I've been called a lot. How difficult is maybe hearing from maybe Tricia or somebody, how difficult is a work day when certain entities are off and others aren't? Does it hinder the process of the day? Is it a wasted day? Is it a day that, you know?
From my perspective, in my office, there's always work to do. The work is never ending. And so there is work to be done that day. And if our offices follows the county schedule, so we would be there to work. We would not be in court that day, but there's plenty of other activities to do.
Thank you.
Something to that. I think, speaking on behalf of administration, I think one of the things that we hear a lot is kind of the, from employees would be the confusion over, why does the circuit clerk or the probation department might be off, and this year, another discrepancy that we have is the Board of Health voted to add Juneteenth to the health department list of holidays. So that's another department that then would have that day off for 2023. And so that's, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's really what we hear most about is more just having to explain the difference. And we just explain that, the county's holiday schedule is set by the board and can be on its own. It doesn't have to align with the 17th. But yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the amendment to add Juneteenth to the observed days of holiday signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Let's do a roll call, please.
Larson,
Oh, before we vote, just so we're clear, a yes vote would approve the amendment, a no vote would deny the amendment.
Ray Larson,
No.
Brett Mueller,
No.
Elisa Patterson,
No.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
No.
Dave Wiltsey,
No.
Carl Johnson,
No.
Sherry Bartel,
Yes.
Brian Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad.
Yes.
Motion fails. Next, we have the original motion of the proposed holiday schedule. Any further discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
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 Guys have it. Motion carries. Mr. Curry, anything else for the good of the order?
I have nothing more, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Sir? This? Next up, I'd ask for a motion to approve the claims with the understanding that Carl Johnson abstains from voting on all claims presented by William Charles, Northern Illinois Service Company, Core and Maine, and all claims submitted by the Boone County Highway Department, and all claims submitted by any county department regarding sewage, stormwater, construction, and excavation. Bill Robertson abstains from voting on all claims presented by B. Robertson Lock Service. That motion by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Larson. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Brett Mueller,
Yes.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Yes.
Sherry Bartel,
Yes.
Brian Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, I'd ask for a motion to approve resolutions 22-72. No, we have to do these separately, don't we?
Actually, on these, we've determined that we can
Do them
together.
multiple? Okay. So we'll start again. I'd ask for a motion to approve resolutions 22-72 through 22-81, sale of surplus property. Motion by Mr. Riley, seconded by? By Mr. Robertson?
Yeah.
Was it? I think so. Mr. Robertson, did you second that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any discussion? Mr. Wiltsey?
I would like my vote to be recorded on resolutions 2277, 78, 79, and 80 as no. I'm in favor of the other resolutions. Each one of those three that I enumerated has either 2 or 3 parcels together for a nominal cost. And I'm opposed to that bundling, as I've indicated to the board on a previous occasion. So I just like reflect that I vote no on 2277 through and inclusive of 2280.
What's that? Do we need to split it up then?
Yes, and we need to split it up into either.
Okay. So Mr. Wiltsey, you said that was
2277 through 2280. If the record would just reflect I vote no on it, and I vote yes.
I think the issue is that you can't vote no to a portion of the,
Well, I'm trying to avoid a roll call but.
right, but I think if we wanted to split it into two different motions, 22, 72 through.
76 and.
Then the other
81. Yeah.
And I would move that.
Okay, so we have a motion from Mr. Wiltsey to amend the motion to be
22.
Resolutions 2272 through 2276.
And
2281. 72 through 2276 and 2281. And then the remaining properties, 2277 through 2280. I guess that would be a separate motion. So the motion to amend is to pull out 2272 through 2276 and 2281. Is there a second to do that?
Second.
Mr. Larson, any discussion? Roll call, please, on those.
Lisa Patterson,
Can I, hold on.
Yep, okay, so this is,
Yep.
this would be an approval of the amendment. Well, I guess we can do a voice vote because it's an amendment. Okay. This is confusing. All right. So we're going to do a voice vote just to allow the amendment to pull those separately.
Separate,
The
yes.
others. All right. All in favor of that amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We have to do a roll call on that, don't we? Because it's sale. of
Yes,
property.
so you have to do, there's going to be two
So-
different roll calls. One
Yep.
for the first one and one for the second one.
So I'd accept the motion. Well, we've got a motion.
You have a motion.
So I'd ask for a roll call, and this will be for items 2272 through 2276 and 2281. A yes vote would approve the sale of the surplus property, a no vote
Then
would
you
be
pull
no.
those out,
And we pulled those out. Those are separate.
right,
So we're voting on those right now.
Doing 2 roll calls, right?
right.
Yes.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yes, Elise.
No, go ahead. I'm just,
Okay.
I'm ready.
So the first roll call is for those properties.
Yes. Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Dave Wiltie,
Yes.
Carl Johnson.
Yes.
Sherry Bartel,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad.
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Rick Mueller.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Fine.
Do we need to make a separate motion for those
Yes.
others? So I'd ask for a motion to approve items or resolutions 22-77 through 22-80, sale of surplus property. Motion by Mr. Larson, seconded by Mr. Mueller. Discussion. So this is for the second group of properties, 2277 through 2280. Yes vote would approve the sale. No,
81.
no, 81 was included with the others.
Okay, got it. Okay, sorry.
Redo.
I don't want to have to try and explain this again.
Got it.
So a yes vote would approve the sale, a no vote would be against it. Call, please.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Dave Wiltie,
No.
Carl Johnson,
Yes.
Sherry Bartel,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Elisa Patterson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, and ask for a motion to approve fiscal year 2022 financial audit engagement letters.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Curry, seconded by Mr. Larson. Discussion? We do voice vote on this, can we?
No,
It's a contract.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Dave Wiltie,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Yes.
Sherry Bartel,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Rodney Riley.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, I accept a motion to approve RP-45-2022 Beto replat.
So moved.
By Mr. Larson, second by Mr. Mueller. Discussion. Is there anything to add?
So just that at the last meeting, we wanted to make sure that it was put in writing, the concerns that the township commission had, and those were done, and Mr. Mike Dixon did review those, and he was in agreement with everything. That was done.
Okay. Is the applicant here by chance?
He's on the line.
Is on the line? Is there anything he'd like to say?
Not at this time, thank you.
Not at this time, thank you as well.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
David Wiltie,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Sherry Bartel,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, I'd ask for a motion to approve the Chastain Bridge bundle contract with McHenry County supplemental for Phase 1 and Phase 2, planning and design engineering.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wahlberg, seconded by Mr. Larson. Discussion. Mr. Crone, anything you want to add? We've talked about it many times. Okay. Roll call, please.
David Wiltie,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Sherry Bartel,
Yes.
Brian Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brett Mueller,
Yes.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Tom Walker.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, I'd ask for a motion to approve the low bidder for the truck chassis bid contingent on fiscal year 2023 budget approval.
So moved.
That's by Mr. Larson. Seconded by Mr. Curry. Discussion. Mr. Cronin, anything to add? Okay. Roll call, please.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Sherry Bartel,
Yes.
Brian Curry,
Yes.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brett Mueller,
Yes.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
Yes.
Tom Walker,
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey.
Aye.
Motion carries. Last, I'd ask for a motion to approve ordinance 22-28, annual budget appropriation and levy ordinance for fiscal year 2023.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Larson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Curry. Discussion. Mr. Ryder.
Yeah, I brought it up at the last meeting under the budget. And I want to thank Pam for coming tonight. I've done some research in the growth dimensions issue over the last week or so. Again, I can appreciate everything that they do. I know that they're a tremendous asset to the county and to our local economy. I appreciate very much in the report that she gave us tonight, putting in information about what they do have in reserves. That's been a big point of contention with me. I still am going to stand by my guns, and I'd like to amend the motion to move it from 30,000 to 20,000. I think they've done a fantastic job. They've brought us good reports and certainly done some good work. But as the gentleman from the bank told us, these are hard times. We are dealing with county money. I think just a slight increase and hopefully the good work that they provided over the last year will continue, and it's certainly something that we can perhaps bump up next year. But at this point, I'd like to amend the proposal from 30,000 to 20,000.
Motion by Mr. Riley. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Bartel. Discussion. Mr. Wiltsey.
As I indicated when we talked about this last year, if we had to hire a community development director, as a lot of municipalities do in counties, ballpark $60,000, $70,000, probably conservative figure. If we had to hire a secretary for that person, $35,000 conservative. And in the meantime, we have an organization that's functioning well and produces for us substantially. And if you talk about hard times falling on anything, it's probably going to fall on their revenue raising for this coming year. They already indicated they had some problems last year. And I think we ought to have this. That reason now, opposition to the motion.
Mr. Mueller.
So looking at a lot of property taxes, I see how much the Chrysler plant pays, and a couple like DFA, the milk plant here in town, Green Giant. I think the 30,000 is a very minimum investment that the county could put towards to help out with the amount of revenue that is brought in. For 30,000 is a drop in the bucket. So I'll be in support of the 30,000.
Further discussion? Okay, in closing, I'd just like to, I think everybody knows my position. I think, I personally think 30,000 isn't near enough to spend on economic development in this community. And I wish we spent a lot more. I think Pam and her information showed that back in 08, I think it was, 09, we were given 46,000 to growth dimensions. And I was on the board when we started to diminish that, and we started to diminish that because we just didn't have the money. I mean, it's not that we didn't want to, we just didn't have the money. And it was cutting everything we could just to keep people employed and keep the lights on. So I think it's important that we build that, and with what they're working hard to do and try to do and continue to move forward, I think 30,000 is the minimum we should be giving them. So I'll be supportive of 30,000 and voting against the amendment. So That being said, let's do a roll call just to keep it easy.
Chair
So
Bartel.
it's just so we know, a yes vote is in favor of the amendment to reduce it from 30,000 to 20,000. A no vote would keep it at the 30,000. Roll call, please.
Sherry Bartel,
Yes.
Brian Curry,
No.
Freddie De La Trinidad,
No.
Ray Larson,
No.
Brett Mueller,
No.
Elisa Patterson,
No.
Ronnie Riley,
Yes.
Bill Robertson,
No.
Tom Walberg,
No.
David Wiltsey,
No.
Carl Johnson,
No. Motion fails. Any other discussions on the budget from board members? I know Dan's got something, he's chomping at the bit. I'm holding him on the back burner. Anything else from board members while we're sitting here? All right, Dan, you got a couple things I know we talked about.
Yep, I just wanted to cover a few things. The final budget tonight is on board docs for the county board's approval. I'm not going to go through this entire presentation tonight. A lot of it's a carryover from the initial meeting at the admin meeting on November 1st, but I did want to highlight just a few things and then also have a discussion with the county board on a specific item that we want to talk about. So one of the things that I wanted to really show and that we included additional information tonight on, when we first put together this budget, we didn't have our CIRMA renewal. So CIRMA is the organization that we have property insurance, liability insurance, workers' compensation insurance. We do have those numbers for FY 2023. That coverage starts on December 1st. The CIRMA renewal for next year will be $883,617. We are a part of CIRMA, so that is the cost of that entire program. We do have an optional coverage that we can choose to renew or not, and that is for cyber liability. This is something that the county has done, I believe, for the past 3 or 4 years. It has gone up in cost, unfortunately, as public sector entities have had more exposure with different hacking events. And so for this next year, our cyber liability renewal will be $24,237. And then the one piece of the insurance renewal that we don't have quite yet, which isn't atypical, it's always pushing up towards renewal. The county buys a excess liability policy that is a non-CIRMA policy, so it's our own policy, and we don't have pricing on that, but we will have pricing prior to December 1st, and so I just wanted to call that out tonight as well. And there is information in this packet as well about those costs for the CIRMA renewal. Again, we saw a large increase this year that we're the last 3 years, really 2019, 2020 with COVID, with some of the large property events that we've seen across the country. We've seen this number tick up. And so once again, we'll continue to watch this. Yeah, so that's the first item that I wanted to really cover tonight.
And if you could, just for board members that may not know or understand, what is CIRMA? Why do we have it?
CIRMA is you can see up there, it's the Counties of Illinois Risk Management Agency. It's actually a pooled entity. So there are, I want to say 27 counties that are a part of CIRMA. Boone County was actually a founding member, I believe, back in 2006. Ken Terrioni was a really integral part of this process of getting CIRMA set up. So it allows counties to come together, much like our health insurance pool. We can really pool our risk. So as opposed to going out to the marketplace, excuse me, on our own as a county, we can pool together with multiple entities. It really spreads that exposure out, and it's been a good program. CIRMA is unique in that it actually, as we close out old plan years, if the pool has excess loss funding from that year, so we come in, the plan is funded at, let's say, 95%. If the actual loss ratio comes in at 85%, once that plan year is closed out, that those excess funds actually get spread back out to the entity. So that's something that's unique with this program that really you don't see in a typical insurance environment. And so, like I said, this is something that the county, it's a big part of our job in admin. We are on the board of directors on CIRMA, and so we meet with them quarterly. And
As far as the CIRMA cyber stuff, you want to talk about that? What would that do for us if we got a hit, if we got hacked or, what do they call it? Pirated, I don't know.
Yeah. So
Ransom thing.
a lot of the coverage would be almost triaging the event. So if the county were to have a hack, that cyber coverage would help pay for vendors to come in and help free up that information. It would also help with some of the communications, I don't want to say press, but a lot of those communications, if that were to happen. And so, yeah, it's something that what we've heard at these meetings is the number of events for the public sector has really skyrocketed. I think 3 years ago when we first did this coverage, or 4 years ago, we paid $4,000. And so it's gone up to 24, and nothing from a CIRMA experience, but really just the marketplace. And so once again, that's something, the cyber coverage, we do evaluate that from year to year. It is something that, in talking to IT, even with the increased costs, they're very adamant that that's important for the county to have, especially with the way of the world right now. And so, again, we'll monitor it. But I would recommend that the county invest in that $24,000 each year for the cyber liability.
Okay.
And sorry, just another clarify as well. So these numbers are in the budget. The only number that we don't have yet is that final excess liability piece, and we'll have that here shortly within.
And do you have some money put into contingencies to cover that?
Yeah, we do. Last year, that number was just about 91,000 for that standalone policy. I budgeted 100,000 in the tort fund, anticipating, 10% or so of an increase. We'll see what it comes in at. Hopefully it's within that 100 grand. Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Bliss, you had a question?
So when you talk about the cyber liability insurance, it's insurance, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So if we did get hit by something with ransomware, does it have a certain amount of coverage that would help us recover some of those losses or minimize the losses that we may have to pay to have some of those things restored, or? I want to be careful about what we're talking about publicly with some of the coverage, but it would help to recover certain, if things were lost, it would help to recover. As far as the ransomware side of it, that's a different, but it would help on the IT end to help get vendors in to recover data.
Any further questions on the CIRMA stuff? Okay, Mr. Street, you got more?
I do. So the other thing, just to bring to the board's attention, at last week's meeting, there was a motion to do a 2% cost of living adjustment for the non-union employees. I just want to talk about that a little bit and walk through it. It is something that we heard about this week, just from different departments about some concern about the 2%. And so I just wanted to bring that tonight. We've talked about different ideas, maybe bring that to 3% to start off. I just wanted to remind the board that the last year, so FY 2022 was a 3%. You can see the history up here. We did 3% last year. 2021 was a 1.5, 2020 was 2.6, and then 2019 was 2%. So again, right now on the table, what we have as an approval from last week is 2%, but I did want to notify the board that was something that came up this week. There was some concern about that number being lower than last year. I also wanted to talk just to make sure that we're all on the same page about what that non-union wage increase is and who it applies to. And so when we say non-union wage increase, it would apply to all the non-union employees effective 12/1, but it does exclude some specific positions. And so it doesn't include county board members. So you are all technically in our system non-union employees. However, that compensation is set by state law. It's been set this year, and so that won't change. So the non-union increase won't affect your stipend or the county board chairman's salary. The other group that it won't affect would be elected officials. Again, those are set either by resolution, the state's attorney, public defender, or they are tied to a certain, not elected official for the public defender, but they are tied by state law to a certain percentage. The sheriff's is now tied to a percentage of the state's attorney. The public defender also is tied to that number as well. So it wouldn't affect those salaries. There are a number of technically non-union employees of the county that are paid with a stipend. And so this doesn't and hasn't historically applied to those employees. So for instance, the Board of Review members, they are paid $5,000 stipend. We actually changed that last year. And so much like the county board chairman's salary, that number was meant, the 5,000 was meant to really be looked at periodically. So every 2 years, 4 years, and it would with an action of the board, it would be increased at that point. And so the non-union increase would not apply to that group. And there's also a number of coroner's employees that are, I believe, livery staff, and they're paid via stipend as well. So it's a $30 per pay period stipend, and those do not change with the non-union increase as well. And then the last thing I just wanted to make sure to call out, as part of our budget process in reviewing the numbers, there were a number of specific adjustments that were requested and that are included in the budget from different departments. And so the health department does their wages a little bit differently. The Board of Health approves those wages. And so I believe they did a 3%. And then some of their employees are subject to a market adjustment that is in their budget. The probation department is doing a market adjustment that's also in the budget to bring their wages in line, more in line with Winnebago County. That was something that was really brought on by the 17th Circuit Court. This year, the state's attorney's office and the public defender's office presented an equitable pay adjustment for 5 employees in the attorney's office, and then also all the employees in the public defender's office except for the public defender. And so that is in the budget. And then there's also a proposed wage adjustment in the assessment's office for a single employee. And so just to be clear, so any of those employees that are receiving those unique adjustments, you're not getting the 3% on top of that, though, they're separate. And so I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page. As far as the question about the 2%, what I looked at today was, estimating the non-union payroll, it's roughly 5.1 million. And so and that's annually. And so any, the percent increase, if we went from 2 to 3, or if we did a 0.5%, you're talking about 51,000 for each percent that you were to increase the budget. So just to throw it out there for the board. And then I might not know, it's interesting. I looked at it today. This is the updated data from today. So the county has 268 employees, 53% or 141 are non-union, and then 47%, 127 are union. So it's always interesting to look at that mix. But that's kind of to give the board an idea of what, and when we talk about that non-union wage increase, that COLA, who it applies to, what the scope of it is, what the dollar amount would be when we talk about percentages and what the increases would be. So any discussion, questions, I'm happy to answer any questions from the board.
Mr. Curry?
I would be on line with 3%. Determining, obviously with the recent inflation and cost of living is a little outrageous right now. It's not saying that we have to increase every year. This would be the year 2 increase. That's not promising next year. It's not back down to 1.5%. We can't do 3% every single year. I think with our budget this year, it does. I do like, as we spoke before, is handling collective bargaining prior to doing this. But at the same time, collective bargaining expires November 30th, and we've yet to meet. So something's got to happen, and I think 3% is not out of line. I think 3% is pretty fair for life right now. So,
Mr. Wiltsey?
I completely concur with what Brian just said.
Thanks, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Anytime.
It's as far as collective bargaining, we did do a little. I asked Mr. Street to do a little investigating on that, and really nothing is set below 3% in collective bargaining. It's up above that. So I personally feel comfortable with 3%, especially since we did 3% last year. And I'm on board with that. Mr. Wahlberg, I think you had.
Yeah, just thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a clarification, Dan, on the 51,000. You threw out a lot, and then you broke it out. Union versus non-union. Is that the non-union wage?
Yeah, that's only the non-union piece. Yep, that's the non-union piece. Correct.
51.
Yeah.
Increased.
And we've in the budget, there's a contingency that that I believe can cover. We don't know with the unions, and so we have to assume something. And so, but I believe in that contingency, we could, if the county went from 2 to 3 for non-union, we could the budget as is tonight. We're okay. We're good. Yep.
Okay, Mr. Curry, did you want to make that as an amendment to the budget?
Yes, I amend that we raise
Non-union
cost of
increase
living adjustment to 3%.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Curry, second by Mr. Wiltsey. Any further discussion?
And just to clear, just so that to make sure, just to clear, and we're all no questions about the exclusions that we talked about with those other kind of okay.
I think that's all understood. Okay. All right. Roll call on the amendment to the budget of raising it to. Well, we can do a voice vote on the amendment. So all in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Anything further on the budget? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right. Roll call on the budget as amended, please.
Ryan Curry. Freddie De La Trinidad.
Yes.
Ray Larson.
Aye.
Brent Mueller.
Aye.
Elisa Patterson.
Yes.
Ronnie Riley.
Yes.
Bill Robertson.
Yes.
Tom Walberg.
Yes.
David Wiltsey.
Aye.
Earl Johnson.
Yes.
Sherry Bartel.
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations. We've done our civic duty and we've got a budget for next year before the deadline. Perfect. All right. Special committee reports, community building, we don't have. UCCI, anything, Dan? 911, Mr. Riley, nothing.
Had a meeting this morning, nothing new going on. Just trying to keep dispatchers in the seats.
It's always a struggle with that agency. All right. Land bank, is Ms. Gieske online? Ms. Gieske, are you there?
I am.
Wonderful. The floor is yours.
Well, I submitted a report. Did everyone get that or not?
It is there.
Okay, I would just ask if there are any questions from that report. I'll try to answer them as best I can.
Mr. Riley?
Sherry, it's Rod Riley. It really doesn't have much to do with your report here tonight, but I'm just kind of wondering, we had that gentleman come and speak a couple months ago about investments for our the money that we're making from the land bank. Has there been any other movement in that, or did we make any? I'm trying to think if we made any decisions as a board, whether we wanted to look at some of those options as well.
I hope I understand your question. I think the question is that the land bank thus far has been funded by grants, and the push is to identify a sustainable funding of it. And at this point in time, no movement has been made. There are a couple of senators. One is a senator, I think he's a senator. I can't tell you if he's a senator or representative, West and Stadelman, I think. They are pushing hard. And Brent Denson, who is the attorney for our land bank, as well as many others in the state, is kind of serving as our liaison in Springfield. So that there has been no successful conclusion to that yet. However, what I do want to say is our land bank is now at a point where it is self-funding. In other words, you saw my report tonight, and anything that is left over from the sale of these pieces of property goes into our funds, and we can utilize them for lots of things. They're not restricted by any grants. So we are moving towards being a self-funded organization. That being said, it would behoove the state to come up, or the legislators to come up with an idea that we can fund all these land banks, because they serve quite an important role here. I probably didn't answer you, Rod, but I hope I got it.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Yeah, I just remember the gentleman that came here and spoke. And I thought we were talking about something on the rate of return from what we're getting from these, just reinvesting that money or something. I thought it had something to do with R1. Maybe I'm mistaken on that.
Well, no, Rod, you're spot on. R1 is, I'm going to call it, this is a did, but R1 is the parent of the land bank. In other words, that's who, that's not our fiduciary, but we are a subsidiary, I'll call it that. It's not really the right term, but we are a subsidiary of R1. And I think who came and spoke were Michael Dunn, who is the director of that, as well as Eric Setter, who is the executive of the land bank. And I think what they were talking about at one point in time was the surplus sale tax bid. So I hope that gets to your point.
Yep. Okay. I just remember, if I remember correctly, there was some information on rate of return and better investment for the fund. So I'll call and talk to you about it later on, Sherry, on a, and maybe I'm not sure exactly what I'm trying to ask you, but it's just, it sparked my interest, and I think it's definitely something maybe we need to look into. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Anything further on land bank for Muskieski? I see nothing. Sherry, just, I don't know if you were on earlier, but no, I have a plaque for you. And in appreciation for your years of service here on the board. Everybody that's leaving us is getting one, and you certainly deserve one as much as any. And just publicly, thank you very much for all you've done for our community and your hard work and the many hours that you've spent digging into stuff and helping things out. So it's truly appreciated. Thank you so much.
You're entirely welcome, Carl, and thank you so much for all of your applause. I appreciate that. Thank you. You will hear from me whenever the land bank has any action, though.
Awesome. I hope so.
Good. I hope thank you.
Super.
Bye.
All right. Next up, scheduling of committees. Next month will be kind of different, so to speak. So we will have our organizational meeting on December 5th. That's a Monday. That's the first Monday in December at 6:30 p.m. And then we will have that, on Thursday, the 8th, we will have our admin committee meeting at 6 p.m. And then, because things are condensed and kind of weird, we're going to have our finance committee meeting on Monday, the 12th at 6 p.m. And then the full county board meeting on Thursday, December 15th at 6:30 p.m. All those meetings will be here in this room. All right. And there's at least 3 of us in this room that aren't going to have to worry about any of that. So super. All right. Next up, any other correspondence, Dan? Okay. I do need a motion to go into executive session.
For
personnel and land acquisition.
As well as pending litigation and potential litigation.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Larson. Roll call, please.
Carl Johnson.
Yes.
Sherry Bartell.
Yes.
Ryan Curry.
Yes.
Betty De La Trinidad.
Yes.
Ray Larson.
Aye.
Brett Mueller.
Yes.
Elisa Patterson.
Yes.
Rodney Riley.
Yes.
Bill Robertson.
Yes.
Tom Walberg. David Wiltie.
Aye.
That motion carries. Before we head to executive session, I want to once again thank Sherry Olson and Mr. Ryan Curry for talking about those 2 wonderful organizations. If you get a chance before they run out of here, maybe grab them, talk to them a little bit, see what those organizations are about. And don't forget, make me spend some money.
You extend that to mid-December, did you say, Mr. Chairman?
Oh, you know what? I forgot. Yes. Mr. Dave Ernest, Sheriff, this will be your last meeting with us also, will it not? Would you like to say a couple of words for the next? Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Eight o'clock.
No, honestly, it's been a total honor to county for almost 40 years. We have a great thing going. Please, for future boards, we have to keep things non-personal. This is business. It really shouldn't be that difficult if we're really all trying to do the right thing to make our county the best it can possibly be. But we always seem to find a way to make it so hard. So I'm very confident with the people that we have coming up with the sheriff's office. We've worked hard to train our replacements, and that's, I can't thank the board for being so supportive to the sheriff's office. And I think that the future is very, very bright. We're all very, very blessed to live in the community that we live in. All our department heads, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with everyone. If we disagree, it's business. And it's, we can be friends the next day. So I can't thank everybody enough for all the support, and continue fighting the fight to make Boone County and keep Boone County a great place to live. See, that wasn't too bad. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.